Hi everybody, Tanya from Transformed by Jack and Jill. I am completing this stencil on here today, so I thought I'd go live while I do that. You'll see that I lap over a little bit here. I can bring the stencil up a bit further, but I find the line, it gets a lot smoother if I overlap like that. That's just my personal choice. I'm using Artisan's Mineral Paints in Pepperberry, and then I also went in over with their gold metallic, so I'll do that on here as well. I like to use just got a cheap little natural bristle flat brush. So I don't put too much paint on there, and then on a scrap piece of paper, I got heaps of this from buying stuff from the up shop that they wrapped up for me, so that's handy. If you leave too much on there, you'll get, that's what it sort of bleeds and leaves little sort of bubbles, I suppose you'd say. So I've got it taped on there, but I also do like to hold it flat for that first. And I like to dab. Everyone has their own way that they do their stenciling. This is how I do mine. Do get a bit of a sore arm by the end of it. If I was doing something that was like, if I was doing this pink on a darker sort of pinky color and I wasn't looking for such a crisp edge, I might sort of swish around like this, but I want the really crisp edge next to the black, and I find you get that better with the dabbing. But if I learn another way, I'll let you know if it's easier. Go over this a couple of times to get it looking like this, but less is best with the stenciling. So just, yeah, there's hardly anything on there at all. In case you just started watching, get the excess off on a piece of paper or cardboard, something like that, and just dab away. By the end of it, your fingers will be covered in paint. That's all part of the fun. And I've just held it on there with a washi tape, because I've got heaps of it sitting there that I'm never going to use for anything else but a painter's tape or anything like that. That's not going to pull your other paint off. It'll be fine. I do tend to cut the strips and put it on my pants and then sort of pull it off so it's not 100% sticky before I pop it on the furniture. So with this small stencil, it takes longer. That I do have some bigger ones where I could have had it sort of almost done in one go, but I like this design. It suits what I've got in mind for this little piece. If you've got any questions and I don't answer straight away, I will see them afterwards. So you can stencil with any paint. The base coat of this is a mineral paint, so I just thought I'd keep going with that, because then I'm not going to have to worry. It's an all-in-one. It's got the top coat in there, so I'm not going to have to worry about putting the top coat on there. If you can hear the noise in the background, it's that time of year. My husband's watching footy on the other side of the shed. It's freezing cold here. There's snow up on the hills. It's not even winter yet, but we're certainly getting a cold snap this Mother's Day weekend. Does anybody have any Mother's Day plans? Mine will be out here. We went out for tea last night so I can beat the crowds. Apart from that, it's know some people use a roller. I might try that one day. I think you'd have to have, just have to be, I don't know, I'd be worried that you'd waste a lot of paint because I feel like you'd want to take a lot of it off because you get those really thick edges. Might practice it on some boards. So the burn in the shoulder is getting real right now. Anyone watching who's purchased a piece of furniture from someone and there's a stencil on there, appreciate the time and pain that goes into it. I hope that the internet doesn't cut out as with this. It's really windy. Sometimes it tends to be a bit patchy on days like this. So usually by the time I finish this, where I started will be dry because it's such a thin layer you're putting on there. And then I'll just be able to go over it again straight away. Hi Jessie. Thank you. It's like an Art Deco sort of one. That's what I'm going for with this piece. I've painted little gold legs on it. And I'm putting a transfer on the front drawers that have cranes and flowers on there, and it just it reminds me of things that I used to see in people's houses when I was a kid. I know Art Deco is not 80s, but the cranes remind me of, everyone would have velvet pictures with cranes on their walls when I was a kid. That and those, I don't know if anyone remembers them, they were coloured sand and you'd turn it around the other way to watch it all fall down to form different images, like would often look like the beach or something like that, like they'd be blue and black or they'd be pink and black. That's what the cranes made remember all that bad 80s home decor. Vintage now, isn't it? Thanks Jessie. It's Jet and this one's Pepperberry, and then I've got a little bit of the gold in the metallics speckled over the top, just in places, not over the whole stencil, just to tie in the gold. The handles are gold, painted the legs gold. Really cute little dresser, this one. It was just plain old white beforehand. Looking a bit unloved. Sorry if I get in the way for a bit while I finish this part up here. So it really is patience, just dab, dab. I'm getting stiff. I'm standing in the one spot. Just dab, 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 dab. So this is where, you know, the whole saying for love, not money, because the time it takes you to do this sort of stuff, if you charge by the hour for your furniture, no one would ever buy it. If you're doing it for home, it's certainly for love. For a gift maybe. Alright, I've got everywhere there. So I'll just do, yeah, like that's bone dry where I started. So I can easily go in there and start second coat. I'll just turn my scrap paper around. Hey Sandra. Yeah, Woody Woodpecker. I feel like Woody Woodpecker too. Except in the shoulder, not the neck. I'll end up with muscles in my right arm. So yeah, tiny bit of paint when you're stenciling and then getting that excess off. As tempting as it can be to go in with a heavier amount and get it done quicker, it'll bleed and then you'll be pissed off and want to start again. So just practice a bit of patience and go over it a couple of times. So you can see now on that joining line on this piece, it's starting to, I'm not too worried about how thick I'll get it here because that's going to be a joint as well, but you can see that that's all starting to, I'll probably go over it a third time because I am going really light on there and it is black underneath. So I don't usually paint a lot in black, but I must say with the stencil on it, I reckon it's pretty striking. What's everybody been up to today? I went and watched the new, I'm just getting a new scrap of paper. I went and watched the new Doctor Strange. It was good. I love all that sort of stuff. Hey Nat, how's your sad day? It's probably going to start to get a bit loud, the rain in here, in a minute because there's a tin roof. But I'll just keep dabbing away at this. So like I said, my first coat was well and truly dry because it takes so long to do it. But do make sure that it is definitely dry before you start again, or you'll start to lift the old paint off. And if anyone is watching who's recently bought pieces off me, because that beautiful piece I did with the massive transfer on the front and the tall boy that I did with the stencils on the side of recent that sold pretty much straight away. Thank you. I appreciate that you brought them. I'm just really happy that they're going to a new home to be adored. Like I said, paint will be on your fingers. If you don't get paint on your fingers while you're stenciling, I don't think you're doing it properly. Yeah. Well, or you just have a knack at being less messy than me. So remember, excess off. Scrap of paper, scrap of cardboard, whatever. Seems wasteful, but like I said, it saves you from going the corners, the edges from bleeding. You'd only be angry at yourself that you'd have to go back in and fix it up. After this stencil, I probably will actually give this stencil a bit of a clean because I can see that it's starting to get thick on there. I'll just wash it under some water. I'll make sure that this is completely dry before I go to stick the stencil on and do the next section. I'll probably leave it for an hour or so. Just throwing my paper on the floor. You got this stencil, yeah, I love it. It's really pretty. 2 shifts at work. Thank you, Jessie. You're crazy, Sandra. Keeps you out of trouble, I suppose. So yet again, you can see that line disappearing of that join there. Like I said, I like to come down over it. I could have had this and tried to join it, but if I missed a tiny bit, I'd see the black through it, so I'd rather overlap. And when I take it off, you'll see that it is hopefully all going to plan a seamless join. Tell you what, I use this same size pot to paint this piece. I've done 2 coats in black over the whole thing. It's hardly made a dent in the pot, so it's amazing coverage. Amazing. And it has a built-in primer and a built-in top coat, so. And because I was painting in black, they do say with your built-ins, any built-in, that to think of the primer as 1 coat, not 2. So if it was something that needed 2 to do a coat of primer first, because I was painting in black, I didn't have to worry about that. You're not going to see, it wasn't the sort of thing that'd bleed, and even if it was, you're not going to see it in black. And I'm stenciling the sides, and I'm putting a transfer on the front. The only thing that at this stage I think I'm leaving plain black is the two little drawers at the top. I'm going to do, I think, a gold edge. I'll see. I'll put the stencil on first and see what I think. Not the stencil, the transfer. Got to pay the bills. Yeah. Hi, Christine. Hi, Joan. Thanks for watching. Is it cold where I know the locals. I know my people that I know. But anyone who's not, and John, I know where you are. You're in the next room. Is it cold where everybody else is? Because it's bloody freezing today. So I just dipped that. You can't really even see that I've put paint on it, but get that extra off there, or you will bleed at the edges. So just hold it down, stamp over your fingers if you have to. By holding it down, you sort of make sure that you don't go sort of in sideways accidentally and blur your lines. Like one little blurred line's not going to be the end of the world, because probably, in all honesty, the only person who's going to notice it is you, the person doing it. But I take some pride in my work, and I like to get it as crisp as I can. Now that we're heading into these cold months, this is pretty much what I'll spend every weekend doing. I love it when it's cold. I'm not a summer lover. Not at all. He doesn't want to be on camera, Sandra. He's probably a bit too sweary. Don't know if everyone would appreciate that. I should make him come in here and one day and have a go. For anyone who's watching who's scared to have a go, I could teach John how to do it. And he's a lefty. Could have been on one side each. He does help with bits and pieces behind the scenes though. He's the carrier of things, the lifter, the reacher, dribbler of the holes and all that stuff. And he is poking his head across now, Sandra. No swearing, Jonathan. I've nearly finished this second go around. There he is. You got your wish, Sandra. Actually, how is your dresser going, Sandra? Yeah, Alice. Got just one little, what looks like a dog hair, to be honest. It's probably Penny's hair. It was too long for the brush. So yeah, just tiny, minute amounts of paint. And swirl it around on here. And ignore John in the background. I'll make you have a go. Unless you're going to do something, you can say hello and then leave. Alright, so I can still see it. It needs a third because you can still see the difference in there. Often when you get to this stage, the stencil has started to kind of stick to the piece a little bit. So it does, but it's still bouncing off a little bit. Sometimes it'll stick a little bit, which makes it easier to do your coats. That's another hair. That's what happens when you let the dog in. Yeah, he's watching the footy, Nat. Oh, that's good. Glad that your dress is going well. That was a fun one. I love Alice in Wonderland. All Alright, so I'm just doing a test to see if this is dry enough for me to go over a third time, and it is. Nothing's coming off, it's bone dry. If you want to stick with me for the third round, I'll give my shoulders a bit of a stretch. I'm getting hot. Actually might have to take my jumper off, to be honest. Complaining about how cold it is. Let's start coming out here and do some stenciling, and the fire is going too, and I'm hot. I nearly knocked my cup of tea over. Which is practically gold now, but anyway. Alright. Third time. And then hopefully it's good to go with the gold. Alright. Hey Nat. I don't think I've seen you on here before. Alright, so taking that excess paint off, I'm going to need a new scrap of paper. So that one's getting squishy. Take that excess off. And that's it, that's good. That's that shadow gone. So that join, the third time is the charm. When this one's finished, like all the others, it'll go over to the Aragon Vintage Market if anyone wants to have a look. If anyone's looking for a project, I've got a couple of the cheap shelves. Well, I've made them cheap. I want to get them out of there so I can do a bit of a move around of things in there. I've got a few ideas of some stuff I want to do over there. So there's a shelf that's got little pigeonholes. It's got two like doors down the bottom. Which will, I think it'll be. I can see it with the stencil on those doors down the bottom because they're nice and flat. And the pigeonholes, I'm sure someone could think of something fun to do with those. And there's a little glass cabinet. It's blue at the moment. I did a really bad paint job on it, to be honest. I was in a hurry. And you can certainly have fun with that, putting some stencils, because you can put the not the stencils, the transfers can go on glass as well as they can pretty much go on anything. I've actually put some on fabric. I'll show you. I did a little practice to see if it worked because plenty of people said it does, and they are not coming off. So that's a transfer on some little bits of denim. It'll probably turn into just like a little pouch. So they really can go on anything. My mum is watching too. While I do my third coat. So you can see how long this bit's taking me. This little piece is going to take me a while, but I like doing it, so that's all right. So it's just dab, 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 dab. If you have any shoulder problems, I wouldn't advise it, or try it with a roller. Might do a practice with, might have a practice with a roller and maybe a sponge in case there's people that can't do it this way but want to do some stenciling and still get those nice crisp edges. Like I said, this one here, if I don't quite get that thick, it doesn't matter because I'm going to overlap that like I have this here so that I get nice crisp lines. And the same with the top, I'm still going to be going over that. So it's no 5-minute job putting a stencil on something. If you ever see it on my furniture or anyone else's, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, the transfers on the fabric. I like it, Sandra. Because there's some really cool pictures out there. There's a lot of different companies that make them. And apparently, like, you can, because the person I watched do it, AJ's Vintage Designs, I think is her name, she's American. She does it like on aprons and washes them all the time and everything, so yeah, they're really, once they're on there, they're on there. That's what I say with the furniture when you're putting them on there. The packet tells you that you need to do a top coat over them, but from all my experience, they're not going anywhere once they're on there. It gives them extra protection. Right. Nearly there, because then I will show you, I'll just speckle gold over the top. I'm going to use the same brush because I'll just pour a bit of gold into a little container. I collect all those little yogurt containers for mixing colours and stuff like this, where I want to use the same brush. I used to buy these brushes from Paint It Cream, anyone who remembers that from Yarrigan, but I haven't been able to find anyone else that has them, and they were only, I think they're only $2 each, and they're perfect for stenciling. So anyone who's joined recently, I am using Artisan's Pepperberry in their mineral paint range to do this stencil. And this stencil, I think it's from my stencil lady. She's Australian. She's definitely on Instagram. I'm not sure if she's on Facebook or not. I'm positive. I brought it from Paint It Cream, but I'm sure that that's where she got her stencils. I might do a test on that one I've done, Sandra. I'll turn it into a, I'll chuck a zip in it, turn it into a pouch, you know, pencil case, makeup bag, travel bag, whatever someone wants to use it for. I might actually wash it. I'll keep it. I don't have, I probably need it myself. I'll wash it a few times, just in random loads of washing, and see how it goes and a report back. Like, even if it faded a little bit, it'd have, you know, it'd have that worn kind of vintage look, which I'm a fan of anyway, and often people pay big money for something to look like that, don't they? I'm getting there. Like, I'm working, you probably see me, if you've just joined, this is the third coat, and because I hardly put any on there, and that's because I want nice crisp lines, I can just keep going back over it because it dries really quick. The air in here is pretty warm because the fire's going, and I really, you don't have a lot of paint on your brush, so you can keep, I'd rather dip multiple times and get crisp lines than have it bleed on me and have to repaint it. Like, if it was a really bad noticeable bleed, repaint it, wait for it to dry, stencil it again. So just be patient when you're stenciling. I'm just checking if there's any bits that I think need a bit more, that are in that central part that I won't overlap on again. I've got pieces of paper everywhere. I need a newbie though. This is all just paper I got. John went and bought a bunch of stuff from the op shop for me down in this band, so I got back a bunch of stuff. I went on a fishing trip. Stopped at the op shops for me first. I'm just making 100% sure that the ones that I'm wanting to join up, there's no shadow, no seeing the line. Because it looked like it at first that it was enough, but then when it dries a bit, it's like it's not quite dark enough. I'm just going to stand back. Just that bit there. I think that's pretty good. I've done sometimes where I'm not actually looking for it to be solid. I want it to look like a worn out old wallpaper. That's a lot easier on the shoulder. Sorry if I'm in the way of the camera. Alright. Right, that's pretty good. So now I'm going to go over the top with a, yeah, it was from my Stencil lady, thanks. Now I'm going over the top of it with Artisan's Gold. I'm just going to pour a little bit of it. I stirred it before I started. Check that out. Luxury. Real pot of gold. Little yogurt containers, cream containers, whatever. They're handy when you don't want to contaminate the pot. So I don't need a lot because I've literally just put a dot in there because I'm just going to choose a few places to go in. I don't want to fully cover that. It's more of a highlight. It's like a little surprise here and there. Not just give my brush a good wipe out to get most of the pepperberry off. Pop it in the gold. Get my new scrap of paper that I popped. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Does the sparkle show up on camera? It looks like it does to me, but I'm not sure how it looks to you guys. Kind of looks like a rose gold, which is what I'm going for, so that's good. So I just am scattering it just here and there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just wherever I feel like putting it. It might be a bit where you want it a bit thicker than others. I want just a whisker, and you could do this with, I could keep going over it with all sorts of colours if you wanted it multi. Remembering here I'm going to overlap anyway, so I'll get the edges there, but I think that that's pretty good. Maybe just there. I'm pretty happy with that, so that's it, it's done. I'm going to peel it off now and you'll see. I'm just going to move that so I don't tip it over. Ta-da! There it is. Nice crisp edges. Only this much to go, but looking good. So you see, you can't see that join at all. And those, they're just like a nice little bit of a glow. Hey Mary, this is that little, I'm sure you, Mary's the one who got me all these latest bits of furniture. So it's a nice thing to do, it's good. They're all turning out. You must be lucky, Mary. I think you might have to be my furniture hunter. Because they've all, I know they're just the right sort of size and shape to do something fun with, so this is, I've got to do the rest of that. I've got to do that on both sides. This is only side one. I have left this edge here. I wanted it to have a bit of an edge around. You can't quite see down the bottom now. I can pop that down. See, I've left it, I wanted it a noticeable edge, and there's the edge around the front there. And I'm thinking, I'll just bring it around the front so you can see. So these three drawers here, it's going to be a massive stencil over the whole thing of that. The cranes that I was talking about earlier. And I'll put the stencil on first and see how I feel about it, because the handles are gold. I'm thinking about doing a gold edge. I'm not 100% sure. That's the handles there. So your ridge handles, I just painted over them with some gold because they were sort of losing some colour and whatnot in different places. So yeah, and then these two top drawers here, I think that I'll just leave them plain black. So my other thought is that I transfer here, leave this edge black, leave those two drawers black, make this edge around here gold. I'll see how I feel once the transfer's on there. I'm always changing my mind. Thank you everybody for watching. I think I've read everybody's comments. If you've got any questions about the stenciling, and I will do part of the transfer on camera as well. Anyone who's watched me before, the transfer takes a long time. It'll probably take me about 3 hours to put it on these drawers. It's a big space. Hi Jennifer, how you going? I've just finished, so if you want to catch what I got up to, go back and have a look-see. I'll come around here to, that is what I was working on there. So using the black is Artisan Jet, and then their Pepperberry, and then the gold in the metallics just sprinkled throughout. All right, thanks everybody. Hi Sarah. Enjoy the rest of the day, and yeah, it's back. It'll be there to watch if you need to go back and watch it for any tips or anything like that. I've still got a lot to do, but I don't know if anyone else will want to watch me do the rest of it. Thanks, Jessie. All right, thanks for watching, because I know it was just dab. Thank you. Bye.